So, Masato-san, let's start.
Hola a todos. Today, we'd like to talk about the similarities and differences of malware campaigns between Japan and Spain, and lessons we learned about how to share information and maintain collaborative channels. Okay, here is today's agenda.
So we'll start with a slight introduction about ourselves. We can explain the current situation about malware trends in different countries, in this case Spain and Japan. We have focused on info-stealer trends, also other threats, and also how we are starting to build our own security operations center in Spain based on open source tools, and how we plan to use it to collaborate both with our colleagues from Canon Japan and also any other organization that is interested on this type of collaboration. But about ourselves, first yourself.
My name is Masato Ikegami. I'm a malware analyst at Canon IT Solutions. And this is my first time giving a presentation outside of Japan, so I'm a little nervous but very excited to be here.
And as for myself, I'm Josep Albors. I'm the head of awareness and research of ISET Spain. I'm a malware analyst and also awareness evangelist, how to say. And I've been working in the cybersecurity field for 19 years. But going further, we have to start in a very specific thing. Why this talk is about what is happening in Japan and Spain? What do we have in common? Well, we look at both countries. We can see that we have a very interesting history, a very nice cultural and rich places to visit, great food, of course, and very rich culture, we have to say. Besides that, it's interesting that this year the World Economic Forum has said that both Japan and Spain are the second and third best touristic destinations, so that's good for us. At least we are getting some money from that. But these type of coincidences are not always good. For example, if we based on ISET telemetry, we can see that for the last 3 years at least, Japan, United States, and also Spain have been topping the top 3 countries that are detecting most malware threats. In fact, this has been a trend with both Japan and Spain and other countries. In this case for 2023 was United States, but other years were, for example, Turkey. But Japan and Spain has always been in this top 3. That raised our eyebrows some years ago, say, what do we have in common with Japan to have this type of detections? It's quite strange. We must be more close to France, Portugal, Germany, or Japan should be more close to maybe Korea, Philippines, but no, they are closer to us. So we started to investigate. Also, we have in common that both Canon, as a big company, a multinational company, has a lot of fields or departments inside. For example, Canon IT Solutions and Ontinet, which is not as big as Canon, of course, with our company based in Valencia. We do have something in common, that we are both our national distributors of ISET in Spain. So we share the same threat intelligence. We can see what's happening in every place of the world that ISET has presence and has the possibility to get this telemetry. And that helps us compare what is the situation in Spain, in Portugal, in France, but also in Japan, in Australia, and other countries. And that's when we started to notice. For example, for last year, if we take a look at ISET top 3 regarding email threats, we found out that Japan and Spain were the countries that were detecting more email threats, where the malware actors were using email as a main attack vector to infect the victims. Of course, it's not always the same. For example, we have very curious and characteristic campaigns in Spain, for example, for the last month, and you probably have received some of these emails that are sending you SMS, like for receiving payment from the National Tax Agency, or offering you some job offers that are quite interesting right now. They offer you to pay money for clicking likes in different YouTubes, TikToks, or whatever publishing that they tell you. And surprisingly, at least at first, they pay. It's a amount of money, but that's to gain your confidence. I did a test some weeks ago, just answer them with GIFs from APM, a typical humor program, and they keep talking with me. So we are talking with bots, we are not talking with persons. And that's something that we have been very affected in the last months in Spain. Also, if we take a look back, we can see some interesting campaigns. For example, end of 2020, you know the situation that was there, and a lot of people started to use online shops. So they were expecting to receive a package. And in Spain, we started to receive this type of SMS. Okay, your package is going to be delivered soon. And after that, you have a link. And it's good to have that some researchers warned us that Spain was the first country targeted with this type of campaigns. What happened then? If you remember, they redirect us to some kind of similar web, or at least they use the logo, in this case, of Correos, but they could use other delivery agency, and they wanted you to install an application. In fact, they provide you exact information and steps on how to install this application and removing the security measures that you have in your Android phone. Okay, so we think, okay, interesting for Spain. Later, we started to see the same campaign in other countries, some of them in Europe, like Germany, Poland, United States, and Japan. And we started to think, wait a moment. I understand that they did a test in Spain because there's a big Android use base, more than 80%. There's a lot of people that's ordering online. This was the end of the year, so we were preparing for Christmas gifts and the Three Wise Men. But what has to do this type of campaign with Japan, which is more iPhone based, and also the phone number came from Spain. So there was a poor Japanese citizen receiving the same message. This is translated from the Spanish one, so anata no package something delivery with different link, but coming from an infected Spanish user. That raised my curiosity in that case. And working with Masato and other investigators, we found out that the templates were almost the same. In fact, they used same domains, and then we saw that, okay, this is an international campaign, but it is strange that the difference between Spain campaign and Japanese campaign was just several, maybe 2-3 weeks, before targeting, for example, other users in Latin America or the US. Okay, it might be just a coincidence, but we need to do a look to this type of campaigns just in case we are missing something.
Thank you. Okay, let's move on to the main topic of our presentation. We have communicated closely about info stealers. This line graph shows that the number of info stealers detected in Japan and Spain last year. As you can see, info stealer campaigns happened almost simultaneously in both countries. The only difference is that in Spain, there is a detection peak in the middle of November. This is because malware operators started a campaign targeting the Christmas shopping season. Besides that, the financial year in Spain ends in December, so closing tasks could be targets. Let's look back over the last couple of years. In Japan, Emotet has a lot of attention. JNSA, the non-profit Japan Network Security Association, reported that more than 300 associations were infected by Emotet. Most are small and medium-sized enterprises affected by Emotet. This is just the tip of the iceberg, because only published cases were included here. This slide shows the attribution data of organizations affected by Emotet. most are enterprises, but also included medical institutions and universities. So how was Emotet in Spain? Like in Japan, Emotet was positioned as the biggest threat to Spanish organizations. As in Japan, most of the affected victims were small and medium enterprises. Here is an email with Spanish emotet spam sent to Spanish user. The body of the email is written in Spanish, but the office template is often in English. Here is Japanese example. Like the Spanish case, the body of the email is written in Japanese and the office template is in English. This is just one example. There are many different types of templates. Here we have the emotet spams with password protected zip files. This type of spam were observed not only in Spain but also in Japan. In the next slide, Josep will talk about the characteristics of organizations affected by infostealers.
Thank you, Masato-san. So we're in a point that we're still thinking, this could be only a coincidence, or there is something else. So we started to analyze some social aspects that could be related to this type of malware campaigns. And I started to ask Masato about the organizations in Japan. And we found some coincidence despite being apparently so different. So we both had a lot of employees that doesn't review who is sending the email, especially if that email is coming from some boss. They just try to get rid of it and send whatever they want or click on the link that the email has provided. Also, we have long working hours, like means sitting in front of a computer doing something that might not be related to the work. So when you receive an email, you just get, okay, just click whatever and keep continuing watching the newspaper or the football match in the Euro Cup. And also, we do respect the authority, so if somebody sends an email or a communication or a message through the mobile phone, it's kind of mandatory to answer as soon as possible. So it's something that we correlate both between Japanese organization and Spanish. Also in Japan, they have quite complicated cybersecurity rules that have to be applied in each company. They don't really get applied every time, but we also have complicated rules in Spain that after several years of experience talking with customers and some victims, we can definitely say that almost nobody cares about them because they are expensive or they need to do some changes on the organization, or unless somebody comes and says you have to follow this law, they don't care until something happens. So, what are infostealer targets? After all these years of investigation, we have analyzed several families, and we found out that main target is web browsers. They are the web browsers because a lot of customers are used to store the credentials in the web browser because it's convenient. They just need to access this website, they don't need to access this control panel, and they store the credentials and the passwords in the web browser. So that's the main target that infostealers look for. They don't want to look for a TXT file that's in your computer. No, they want to steal any credential that is stored in an application that they use daily. Not just web browsers, but also email clients, because email clients are very useful for them. That allows them to obtain information about the organization, which are their clients, customers, the providers, intercept, for example, some invoices and change the amount and also the bank account where the victim has to send the money, which is called as BEC scam. And also they can use the accounts that have been compromised to send more infostealer campaigns to other victims, not just the clients of this affected organization, but also other type of victims. But we also found they are looking for FTP and VPN access, which allows them to enter the organization network and after that do some very, very bad things like steal information or even encrypt them. They don't care if they can obtain also some video game and instant messaging credentials, because they can make some benefit or make some profit from them. And also, if they find there is a cryptocurrency wallet, which is not usual, or it shouldn't be to have this type of information in a business PC, they have found it. So that's it's an easy win for them. They just stole the cryptocurrencies and then they use it for their own benefit. About the templates, after several years, they have realized that the ones that are working best are the ones related from the banking side, or the delivery companies such as Correos, DHL, Segur, or whatever company that you are using, especially during campaigns like Christmas season or sales that we are going to have in a few weeks in Spain. While in Japan, we can see that they also have several templates. The only difference is that not always they translate the emails. Maybe they just want to use other templates from English. That may affect the effectivity, because that's very suspicious to receive this type of emails if you are a Japanese resident and you are just using it to look at Japanese email. In Spain, we might fall for it. I have proofs that a lot of campaigns that have been translated into Spanish have been quite successful. Okay, why not? Also, we have to take in consideration that these info stealer campaigns are not always correlated to experienced malware actors. So they can be just some script kiddies or some malware actor that is new on this field, and they just use whatever phishing template that they have at their hands. Also, Masato-san is going to explain why is all vulnerabilities, such as this one, being so exploited in Spain and also in Japan.
Thank you. We have seen a lot of exploit attack in Japan and Spain. Among them, the most exploited vulnerability is CVE 2017-11882. Attackers mainly target small and medium enterprises with a high success rate. So let's think why a vulnerability that has been fixed 7 years ago is still being exploited. There are two reasons for this. The first is that companies in both countries are still using unpatched old software, especially SMEs without an IT department. Patch management is not properly implemented. The second reason is that builders like this make it easy to attack without special knowledge. Here is an example of this type of attack. The email attached a special crafted malicious office file. And these templates were observed in Japan. They are very similar to Spanish ones. The attacker cleverly encouraged users to open the attached file and click the button on the yellow bar. Once the protective view is disabled, the malicious code is executed. Okay, so from here, I'd like to talk about malicious JavaScript in both countries. JavaScript variant called JS Agent PHC were observed in both countries, widely observed last year. We counted over 10,000 compromised websites and found that over 93% URLs were associated with WordPress-based contents. Some web pages were associated with medical institutions. JS Agent PHC consists of obfuscated JavaScript responsible for execution of the next phase of the infection. This script calls PHP script on the compromised server. Then this PHP script downloads and executes a payload from a command and control server and run it on the victim's device. This slide shows that the detection trend of this variant. The detection number of this variant increased by 136% in the second half of 2023 compared to the first half of the year. Japan, Spain, and the United States were the countries where it was most commonly found. From September to November alone, ESET detected more than 14,500 websites compromised with this variant. Okay, so in the next few slides, Joseph will talk about scam trends.
Okay, so another malware trend that is also quite common in both countries are those related to scams. So somebody that wants to fool us to click on something or make us an offer that we can refuse and lose out of money. So these scam trends are also quite consistent in Japan and in Spain in some periods of the year, not all of them, because we can see that there is not so big difference, just a week or two between when some scam campaigns start in one country and follows in the other one. But there is one difference in Spain, especially during last year when we were observing a huge campaign during February and March, which were a lot of scam related campaigns, and that's what targeting just Spain. This was quite widely covered. We did a lot of blog posts and also released press release last year talking about this campaign because mainly Spanish focus. But the other scam campaigns that we can see around the year were widely spread, and we can see some coincidence between the two countries. One of the campaigns that surprises me was the tech support scam, because I mean, I've been talking about this type of scam since 12 years ago. It started in the English-spoken countries, then they started to do the same in Spain or Spanish-spoken countries, not even bothering of translating the call or the messages, but after that they started to adapt it and use our own languages. For example, some of you could have received a scam caller saying that it's calling from Microsoft, that you have some problem in your computers, and they are going to help you fix it. So this campaign is still active in Spain and also in Japan, with some templates that are quite similar in both countries. They are both referencing Microsoft. In the Japanese template, they are also adding information about a malicious spyware that is being detected in your computer. This is all shown in your web browser. And in Spain, we have all campaigns like this one that insists you to call to a phone number, and then you contact an operator, which can be somebody in India, Puerto Rico, and I don't care. We did some investigation about these campaigns and found out that they are really a lot of people doing this type of calls that wants to connect to your computer and steal information, especially everything related to bank accounts. But also recently in Spain, we have seen this type of campaigns. This was from last month. And you have seen this type of a screen, and the modus operandi is the same. They are talking about a Microsoft problem that has been detected in your computer. You have the IP, they have detected your IP, which is very easy to detect where you're connecting from, and they insist you to call to this number, so an operator will help you remove this malware that you supposedly have in your computer. So this surprises me because after talking about this for more than 10 years, it's still very active in Japan and still active in Spain. Also, other campaigns that we have observed are the ones that are related, or they use the name of travel agencies or something related like Iberia or National Flight Agency, or in Japan, the JR, the Japanese railway. They are quite persistent, especially the ones from the JR. And also when it comes to, for example, summer season, when everybody's trying to book the best flights and cheapest options that they can, we start to see this type of campaigns that are replicated in Japan, in other countries too, but the ones that we see in Japan are quite prevalent. And lastly, we have this type of campaigns that this made me laugh a bit because, okay, we have seen them for many years now, like 2 or 3 years we have been observing it. And they use like famous people that are going to make you rich by investing in cryptocurrencies. So we see a lot of this type of publications using famous people. I don't know why, but Pablo Motos is one of the most used by the cyber criminals. Maybe they have something with him, they like him or whatever. And in Japan, it happens the same. And if you notice, the template is quite similar. So in Spain, we have El País, and they have other fonts like Comercio, Levante, ABC El País, and then the photo. And in Japan, they have the, which one is this one?
Japanese economical
newspaper. Also saying something about investing in Bitcoin, artificial intelligence, as seen on other Japanese news, and this guy is very important, is the one from SoftBank, which is the main operator in Japan. Rich man, an important man in Japan. Actually, we did some research and we found out that the Japanese police added everything related to this type of scams, and they discovered that investment and romance scam in Japan hit 45.5 billion Japanese yens, which actually is some million euros also. But it's curious because this is quite basic. You're just fooling some people to go into a website and pay you money. There's no malware in this type of scams, but a lot of people is falling into it, both in Japan and in Spain. So, what we decided to do from now? So we have this situation. We know that there is some similarities, but we still lack some technical details. So that's why we started 1.5 years ago to prepare to build our Security Operations Center in Ontinet, and later use that experience also to share this knowledge with our colleagues at Canon Japan. First of all, we needed to gather information on how to build our own SOC. So we attended last year to Bilbao National Regional First Conference, where we saw a lot of people, very interesting speakers, but also we did a lot of networking with people that has a lot of experience building this type of security operations centers. And they started to talk about open source tools that we could use and set up in our own SOC. So some of the tools that we are using right now in our security operations center that we are building as these ones. As I said, most of them, except for ESET intelligence that we have access to, the rest are open source, and you can use it on your own and build your small security operations center. And right now, in a nutshell, we can say that this is like a scan that how our SOC is being built. So we have one part where we collect the information about threats. We use this information also to protect ourselves, because this data is useful for blocking some IPs in our routers. But we also feed our SIEM, which is in this case Greylog, and we dedicate a lot of time to prepare everything related to automation. So we can discard some false positives, and we can use this information to send all these logs and generate alerts that can warn our Security Operations Center and our cybersecurity department. So we can avoid or detect the attacks that are targeting our company. Also, with this information and indicators of compromise, we can gather them. We can collect it in some threat intelligence systems like the Hive, and with this information, we can share it with other organizations, because we think that in this case, sharing this type of campaigns may be useful to other organizations that are also being attacked by this type of criminals. Of course, we have external sources. We have one mail analyzer that will explain in the next slide. Some IOCs are from open access fonts, and we have some honeypot sets to obtain more indicators of compromise. Regarding the mail analysis, there's something that we have quite an experience since we started doing this type of malware analysis many years ago. So we have 3 ways of inputting this type of info. For example, we have the manual sending. If I find some email or somebody sends me an email that looks suspicious, we send it to the mail analyzer. Obviously, we have this detection by rules, especially dedicated for those files that look suspicious. Either they have executable, compressed, or PowerShell, or any type of extension that look suspicious or may be used in this type of campaigns based on our experience. And we have the malware detection that provided in this case by ESET. So all of these emails, we collect them, we send to the fish, and in this system, they separate the one that has an attachment. We use this our in-house sandbox and analyze. We're using CAPE to see what type of detections are being done besides the one from ESET. We know that ESET is detecting some of them, but we also want to know what other solutions are going to detect, because we can also raise some red flags if somebody or something is not being detected. And with that, we put it into Cortex because that helps us to categorize this type of malware if we're talking about some phishing email, some scam campaign, or if this is a malware that's being targeted to some companies, or it's just a widespread malware. And with that result, we have the information that we can provide to other companies that might be interested. In this case, we use MISP, as is the platform that's being used for many SOCs around the world, and we have external feeds that fit our MISP, but we also share with some private and public organizations. Not so many for now, because we are still testing. We are in the process to integrate it in a way so we can help we can receive information from our colleagues at Canon Japan to share this type of campaign information. But we do think that it's not enough on providing just raw information. We have to categorize it to be useful, because I don't care maybe, or it's not so important to see what is happening in Nigeria. Or maybe I do care. But I need to do this type of categorize to see and categorize which are the targets organizations in Spain, which is my main country of interest. Also Japan, to share this information with my colleagues, or maybe other countries like Portugal, France, or Italy that share some cultural similarities that might be used by the attackers to find new victims. Also, we are very interested in all the detection dates that we are providing, because that helps us on detecting some campaigns, when they start, when they finish, and if that can be an alarm to other countries like the US or even Japan to say, okay, this is coming, and we happen to detect this type of campaign, and maybe tomorrow you will be seeing that, or maybe the next day in your country. And for several times, we have detected this type of campaigns several hours or days before being produced by the criminals. Other times, we just see a campaign that is targeting Spain, and that's okay. But that helps us correlate all this information to see which campaigns are most interesting for us, and also detect what type of campaigns we're talking about. If it's just phishing, if it's a targeted attack, if it's something related with malware, with something related to a scam, whatever. This type of information can help any organization to set or prioritize which are the alerts that they need to manage as soon as possible. So we are now in a process. Last week we were in Fukuoka in the first conference. We are now in the process to be one of the liaisons, like enter this first organization, share the knowledge that we have, and obtain knowledge from other organizations. Spain is the second country in the world that has more security operations center registered in first, so we have to be proud of it. We are a community that is sharing and caring a lot about all the companies, and then we are not in this process that we will continue to do during the rest of the year. But I want to finish with some words from my colleague Masato.
Thank you.
Just to have a summary of what we have been talking here.
Okay, let's wrap up. We will make the following points. Malware campaigns observed in one country are often observed in a different country days or weeks later. So cross-border information sharing and cooperation are very important. We can learn the points in common to enhance our cybersecurity. We hope this will help your cross-border cooperation. Muchas gracias.
ありがとうございます、マサトさん。So, if somebody has any question, it's the time to do it. And if somebody is a bit afraid of the question, I have some omiyages. So, feel free to ask anything. And if you are too shy, we can finish the presentation and you can ask with us in person. That interesting man that just arrived, maybe have some. So, no comments? No? Okay, so thank you very much. And that's all for our side. Thank you very much again.
Gracias.